Woolf. The maid let you in, I see. What an appalling hostess I am, after all. You did not despair of my coming, I hope. Did you get entirely drenched on your way from the train station?
It was raining. I knocked. Your maid was kind enough to let me in. I made myself quite at home. Such a charming room.
So very nice to see you again.
Shall I tell you how this is going to go? Catherine and I will have 2 hours priceless talk. Priceless in the sense that to no one else can I speak in the same disembodied way about writing. To her, I can talk without altering my thought more than any more than I do in writing in my own diary. A woman caring as I care for writing is rare enough, I suppose, to give the queer sense of echo coming back from me, from her mind the second after I've spoken. She shall die of tuberculosis within the year. I shall think of Catherine at intervals all throughout my life. The day that I learn of her death, Nellie, our cook, will bring the morning paper to the breakfast table announcing, "Mrs. Murray is dead." One feels what? A shock of relief? A rival the less, then confusion at feeling so little, then gradually blankness and disappointment, then a depression from which I could not rouse myself all day. After that, when I begin to write, it will occur to me that there is no point in writing. I will think, Catherine won't read it. Catherine is my rival no longer. More generously, I will feel, but though I can do this better than she could, where is she who can do what I can't? While she was alive, most times I think we reached a kind of certainty in talk about books, or rather about writing, which I had thought had something durable about it. And then she was inscrutable. Did she care for me? Sometimes she would say so, would kiss me, and look at me as if, is this sentiment, her eyes would like always to be faithful. She would promise never, never to forget. That is what she said at the end of our last talk. We had something in common that I will never share with anyone else. If you listen to what Catherine is about to say, you will hear the unmistakable Catherine note of ardent flirtation, quickly struck intimacy, pure as Catherine. Listen closely. You will detect uncertainty there as well. In her own view, she is the little colonial whose marriage, such as it is, affords neither her heart nor her checkbook their least security. Catherine envies me not only Leonard's love, but his regular bank deposits, and why shouldn't she? She can't afford the tickets to the sanitarium in the south of France, where her doctor urges her to take refuge. But there's more to this distance between us than that. She is of the cat kind, alien, composed, always solitary, observant. It's as if Catherine can't bear for anyone to resist her for even a moment. Watch, and you will see her coax me to recognize the beauty of the rapport between us.
My God, I love to think of you, Virginia, as my friend. Don't cry me an ardent creature with your head a little on one side, smiling as though you knew some enchanting secret. Don't say, "Well, Catherine, we shall see." Instead, pray consider how rare it is to find someone with the same passion for writing that you have, who desires to be scrupulously truthful with you, to give you the freedom of the city without any reserves at all.
The freedom of the city?
Without any reserves at all.
Well, Catherine, we shall see.
I asked you not to say that.
Someone who desires to be scrupulously truthful. When you heard those words, forgive me, but when you heard those words, did you believe Catherine? Did she love to think of me as her friend? If one could be friendly with women, what a pleasure, the relationship so secret and private, compared with relations with me? Why not write about it truthfully? Has Catherine done so, you think? See, here she attributes just such a longing for connection to the character Bertha Young in Bliss. Innocent Bertha waiting for the sign. Miss Fulton's heavy eyelids lay upon her eyes, and the strange half-smile came and went upon her lips, as though she lived by listening rather than seeing. But Bertha knew suddenly, as if the longest, most intimate look had passed between them, as if they had said to each other, "You too?" that Pearl Fulton was feeling just what she was feeling. Catherine can't know that when I read the story in the English Review, I will cry out, "She's done for," and throw the volume across the room. She's done for. Indeed, I do not see how much faith in Catherine as a woman or as a writer can survive that type of story.
What type of story do you think she means?
So hard and so shallow and so sentimental. What shows through the story's superficial smartness is the writer's callousness and hardness as a human being.
Ah, that sort of story. But let's see what I can do, shall we? Let's see what I get down on paper. To be alive and to be a writer is enough. There's nothing like it. A woman, radiant, with smiling, trembling lips, with big, dark eyes and an air of listening, waiting for something divine to happen, that she knew must happen, infallibly. Ah, but that listening, that waiting, that longing for rapport between women, in my story, it's doomed. Virginia does not like that. Here I come, all the way from New Zealand. Catherine, who at 15 seduced a Maori girl in a bush, who traveled with a circus through the wilds of Scotland. Catherine treading the Persian carpets of literary London in her dirty slippers. I've acted my sins, and then excused them or put them away, saying it doesn't do to think of those things. Or, more often, it was all experience. But it hasn't all been experience. There is waste and destruction, too. And now, to Mrs. Woolf's dismay, I've shown in a short story one woman betraying another. Is it callous to hold that relations between women resemble other human relations in their callousness? Proof of my hardness as a human being to hold that women are human? In truth, I will always get along better with men than with women. For you, it is the opposite.
It is true. I only want to show off to women. Women alone stir my imagination.
I mean, what is a woman?
I assure you, I do not know. I do not believe that you know. I do not believe that anybody can know until woman has expressed herself in all the arts and professions open to human skill. Outwardly, what is simpler than to write books? Outwardly, what obstacles are there for a woman rather than for a man? Inwardly, I think the case is very different. She still has many ghosts to fight, many prejudices to overcome. Indeed, it will be a long time still, I think, before a woman can sit down to write a book without finding a phantom to be slain, a rock to be dashed against.
I know those phantoms. I have narrowly avoided those rocks. You're the only woman with whom I long to talk work. There will never be another.
Thus, when a woman like you or I comes to write fiction, she will find that she is perpetually wishing to alter these established values, to make serious what appears insignificant to a man, and trivial what to him is important.
I want a garden, a small house, grass, animals, books, pictures, music. And out of this, the expression of this, I want writing. I've just finished my new story. Finished last night at 10:30. Laid down the pen after writing, "Thanks be to God." I wish there was a God. I am longing to, 1, praise him, and 2, thank him. The title is At the Bay. It's about 60 pages. I've been at it all last night. My precious children sat in here playing cards. I've wandered about all sorts of places, in and out. I hope it's good. It is as good as I can do, and all my heart and soul is in it, every single bit. Oh God, I hope it gives pleasure to someone. It is so strange to bring the dead to life again. There's my grandmother back in her chair with her pink knitting. There stalks my uncle over the grass. I feel as I write, "You are not dead, my darlings. All is remembered. I bow down to you. I efface myself so that you may live again through me in your richness and beauty." And one feels possessed. And then the peace, here it all happens. I have tried to make it as familiar to you as it is to me. And 2, one tries to go deep, to speak to the secret self we all have, to acknowledge that. I mustn't say anything more about it.
One holds every phrase, every scene to the light as one reads, for nature seems very oddly to have provided us with an inner light by which to judge the novelist's integrity or disintegrity. When a reader sees the truth come to light, the reader exclaims in rapture, "But this is what I have always known and desired."
Risk! Risk anything. Care no more for the opinions of others, for those voices. Do the hardest thing on earth for you. Write for yourself. Face the truth. We have got the same job, Virginia. And it is really very curious and thrilling that we should both, quite apart from each other, be after so very nearly the same thing.
Can a woman write a masterpiece? For masterpieces are not single and solitary births. They are the outcome of many years of thinking in common, of thinking with others, so that the experience of the collective is behind the single voice.
I have a masterpiece in mind. I've just visited the most extraordinary place. I'm haunted by my glimpse of the garden, all flying green and gold. Who is going to write about that flower garden? It might be so wonderful. Do you see what I mean? There would be people walking in the garden, several pairs of people. Their conversation, their slow pacing, their glances as they pass one another, the pauses in the story as the flowers come in, as it were, as a bright dazzle, an exquisite, haunting scent, a shape so formal and fine, so much a flower of the mind. The pairs of people must be very different, and there must be a slight touch of enchantment, a kind of, musically speaking, conversation set to flowers. It's full of possibilities. I must have a fling at it as soon as I have the time.
I'm going to steal that.
Take it.
Masterpieces are not single and solitary births.
Indeed, you were not alone at the birth of Kew Gardens. When I read Virginia's story, I will write to tell her it's very good. I will write to her, "There's a still, quivering, changing light over everything in your story, and a sense of those couples dissolving in the bright air, which fascinates me." I will not always be so kind about her work.
Catherine will live to see it, but in my essay, A Room of One's Own, I will describe a woman writer whose sensibility is very wide, eager, and free. Her sensibility feasted like a plant newly stood in the air on every sight and sound that came its way. It ranged, too, very subtly and curiously among almost unknown or unrecorded things. It lighted on small things and showed that perhaps they were not so small after all. Like a glimpse of a garden, all flying green and gold, or two women talking over tea. Her sensibility brought buried things to light and made them wonder what need there had been to bury them. What need there had been to bury them. Goodbye, Catherine.
Goodbye, Virginia. As if the longest, most intimate look had passed between them.
As if they had said to each other, "You too?"
I promise never, never to forget. Late in the evening, after you have cleared away your supper, blown the crumbs out of the book that you were reading, lighted the lamp, and curled up in front of the fire, this is the moment to beware of the rain. You are conscious of a sudden hush. You open your eyes wide. What's that? Hello, it's raining. Reluctant at first, then faster and faster, tapping against the window, beating on the door, comes the rain. The air seems to change. You are aware of the dark, flowing water that your hands and cheeks grow cold. You begin to walk up and down. How loud the rain sounds. You catch sight of yourself in the mirror, and you think that you look very plain. You say to that plain creature in the wavy glass, I am 28, and I have chosen, but absolutely, deliberately chosen, to live quite alone forever. Now there are quick steps coming up the garden path, stopping at the door. Someone is coming, but nobody knocks. Again there are steps, again that pause as though someone felt for the wet door knocker in the dark. You are sure somebody is there. Nobody. You remember that the kitchen window is wide open. Is the rain coming in? No, not really. You lean out a moment. Two little roof gutters flow into the garden. In the dark, they sound like two women, sobbing and laughing, talking together and complaining and laughing out in the wet garden. One says, life is not gay, Catherine. No, life is not gay. But now the rain is over. Yes, it is quite over. You make up the fire and squat before it, spreading out your hands as though you had been rescued from a shipwreck. And just to be alive and safe were bliss enough.